Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to Sunday morning in the old cookbook show. Today we're going to do a recipe out of the Good Housekeeping Cookbook. Now this is the second edition of this particular cookbook. This one was published in 1934 and there were quite a few Good Housekeeping cookbooks put out in series. This one is from the 1920s. I've got other ones from later in the 1930s. And the subtitle sort of tells it all. Recipes and methods for every day and every occasion, tested, tasted, and approved in Good Housekeeping Institute kitchens. And I have to say that for a cookbook in this time period, the recipes are solid in the way that they are written. They're clear and concise. Most of them are clear and concise, and I think you'd have really good luck making these recipes. The flavors involved, the ingredients involved, maybe not always transferable to 2021. So we're going to try one today called cheese pudding, and we're going to see where that leads us. Now, the recipe calls for 6 slices of bread, 1/4 inch thick. So I'm going to cut off the tail end here and then cut 6 slices. Did you watch the throwback episode in Nepal and that guy slicing bread? I think he was probably better than I am. Let's see. So I'll get 6 slices. Now I'm supposed to cut off the crusts, and I have to tell you, if I was doing this just for myself in my own kitchen, I'd leave the crusts on. I would never cut the crusts off. But because I'm following the recipe, we'll cut them off. And once I've got all the crusts cut off, I'm supposed to butter the slices. So a little bit of butter. Doesn't say how much. I'm going to say that is enough butter. Now, once I've got all of the slices buttered, I'm supposed to cut them into 1.5 inch squares. And I'm kind of thinking that each of these slices probably just gets cut into 4, a little bit smaller than 1.5 inches, but it'll probably do the trick. Now that I've got them cut into squares, I arrange them in layers in the bottom of a baking dish. So now, after I've got the first layer of bread in here, I'm supposed to put on some grated American cheese. So I'm just using the regular old supermarket orange cheddar that you see everywhere here. Now, the recipe calls for 2.5 cups of shredded cheese, and that's always a tough one because do you shred it and put it into a measuring cup, and then how far down do you pack it, and blah, 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 blah. I always take that to mean the cheese doesn't matter. The exact amount of cheese doesn't really matter. Just put in as much or as little cheese as you like or you can afford. And I know that it says American cheese. Pretty sure, I haven't tasted this yet, but I'm pretty sure that a bunch of different cheeses would work really well in this. So use the cheese at your own discretion. Now I put another layer of bread and then I top that with another layer of cheese before we move on to the next step. Now the next step is essentially to make a custard base. So I have 2.5 cups of milk here and I'm supposed to whisk in 3 eggs. Some salt, and some dry mustard powder. The recipe gives you the option of using prepared mustard if you want to, if that's what you have. I kind of like dry mustard. It gives a little bit of heat. So I'm going to whisk this together. So at this point I look at the recipe and I think to myself, it's kind of a savory take on bread pudding. It's kind of a savory take on French toast. The cheese will melt really nicely inside. I'm expecting big things from this. Now, once I get this all whisked together, I pour this over top of the cheese and bread. And the recipe is great because it gives me a temperature and a time for baking. The oven is preheated to 325, and this goes in for 1.5 hours. Hey, Jules.
Hi, Glen. Hey, friends.
So this was beautiful when it came out of the oven. It's all puffed up.
Did you get to see it? Because clearly I don't get to see it.
It has fallen a lot.
A souffle of some sort?
Yeah. It's kind of a cross between a bread pudding and a cheese souffle and French toast.
So does that make it breakfast?
I would say yes. I would say it is a breakfast, although it could be a dinner meal. Here's the thing. So this was 1934.
Okay.
So we're in the Great Depression.
Okay.
So it could have been the main meal.
It could have been just things you got.
Yeah.
Things you've got, right?
You've
been there. Everyone's been there recently. It's what you've got.
Yeah, you had some stale bread, you had some eggs, you had some cheese, and you could put together a meal.
That's really cheesy.
Oh, it's really good. That's really good.
I mean, it's like anything though, right? You put enough cheese on it and,
Yeah.
you know, yay!
Now, I don't think I used as much cheese as it called for.
No?
No.
Wow, it's still pretty super cheesy. It's a bit gooey. Like, if you've got a texture thing, it might not be for you, but...
I really like that. I shoveled that in my mouth all night. Okay. So you could play around with it. You could play around with the spicing a little bit. You could spice it up a little bit, but I don't know that it necessarily needs it.
A little side of some pickle?
I would. Well, I was just about to say I'd throw some pickled jalapeno in it.
There you go.
You know, and just to add a little bit of something. That's really good. That's a winner.
Really?
That is a winner. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.